Hey everyone, 99% of you watching aren't subscribed. Let's change that. Hit that subscribe button, and at 1,000 subscribers, we'll drop special stories just for you.
The silence out here wasn't empty. It pressed. Elias Van had learned that the hard way. At first, when he'd taken long-haul routes beyond regulated space, he thought silence would be peaceful, an escape from the noise of humanity, from crowded stations and overlapping voices. But deep space didn't give you peace. It gave you absence. No chatter, no traffic, no reminders that anyone, anywhere, knew you existed. Just the hum of failing systems and the slow drift of your own thoughts turning against you. The Orion's wake groaned as it cut through the dark, its engines running on a careful balance between efficiency and desperation. Elias sat alone in the cockpit, boots propped against console, staring at a display that hadn't changed in hours. No signals, no ships, no life, just another dead stretch of the galaxy. Thruster output at 82%. The ship's AI reported in its calm, indifferent tone. Elias didn't look up. It's been at 82% for the last 6 hours. Correction. 6 hours, 13 minutes. Right. Thrilling. He reached for a metal cup floating lazily beside him, catching it before it drifted too far. The coffee inside was cold, had been for a while, but he drank it anyway. Out here, you didn't waste anything. Not fuel, not food, not distractions. A flicker across the console. Elias frowned. "Don't start," he muttered, tapping the screen. "I just fixed you." The flicker vanished. For a moment, everything returned to normal. Then, a sharp crackle burst through the speakers. Elias froze. Static, not unusual. The ship's systems were old, and the void wasn't always as quiet as it seemed. Radiation pockets, microbursts, random noise was part of the job. But this wasn't random. The static shifted. Patterned. Structured. Me? Elias straightened slowly. His hand hovered over controls. "Repeat that," he said. The AI responded immediately. No valid transmission detected. Another crackle. Louder this time. "Save me." Elias's pulse spiked. That wasn't interference. That was a voice. Human, or close enough to it. He leaned forward. Fingers fly across the console as he opened the signal analyzer. "Source," he demanded. "Unknown," the AI replied. "Signal origin does not match any registered beacon or communication band." "Of course it doesn't," Elias muttered, "because nothing out here ever did." The signal came again. "Clearer, please." A second voice overlapped the first, then a third, then five distinct tones, weaving together through the static like threads in a broken tapestry. "Save me. Take me with you, please." Elias swallowed. That shouldn't be possible. No ships were scheduled anywhere near this region. No colonies. No stations. Nothing but empty coordinates and dead space. Unless a trap. The thought came fast and cold. Pirates had gotten smarter over the years. Fake distress calls, emotional manipulation, anything to lure in scavengers or lone travelers. And Elias? He was exactly the kind of target they designed something like this for. Alone, under-equipped, easy to isolate. He leaned back in his chair, forcing himself to breathe. "Run a scan," he said. "Wide spectrum. I want everything." The ship complied. Data flooded the screens, radiation levels, debris mapping, gravitational distortions. Nothing. No ships. No wreckage. No hidden signatures. Just empty space. And the signal. "Don't leave us." Elias clenched his jaw. "Amplify it," he ordered. The audio sharpened. Now he could hear them clearly. 5 voices. Not identical, but connected somehow, like they were speaking separately and together at the same time. It made his skin crawl. "Coordinates," he asked. A beat. Then a new set of numbers appeared on the screen. Elias stared at them. They hadn't come from his navigation system. They hadn't been input manually. They had appeared. "Did you just—" "Coordinates received. The AI confirmed. Source, signal transmission." "That's not how that works." Elias snapped. The AI remained silent. Elias leaned closer to the display. The coordinates pointed deeper into the sector, straight into a region marked in every chart as hazardous. A nebula, dense, volatile, unstable. Ships that went and didn't always come out. And if they did, they didn't come out the same. Please? The softest voice yet, barely audible, but it hit harder than the rest. Elias shut his eyes. This was wrong. Everything about it. Unknown signal. Unknown origin. No physical source. Coordinates appearing out of nowhere. Textbook don't go there. He knew that. Any sane pilot would ignore it. Log the anomaly. Mark the region. Move on. That's how you survived. That's how you stayed alive. Another crackle. You heard us. Elias opened his eyes. The cockpit felt smaller suddenly. Quieter, like the ship itself was waiting for his decision. He let out a slow breath. Yeah, he muttered. I heard you. His gaze drifted to the navigation controls, then to the empty expanse beyond the viewport. No ships, no voices, no one. Just him. Always just him. Elias exhaled sharply and reached forward. Plot a course, he said. Destination. Receive coordinates? He hesitated, just for a second. Then, yeah. The engine shifted, adjusting trajectory. Stars outside the viewport slowly began to slide, realigning toward the distant, swirling mass of the nebula. The signal faded slightly, as if reacting. You're coming. Elias leaned back in his seat, staring ahead. Yeah, he said quietly. I am. For the first time in weeks, the silence didn't feel quite so empty. But far ahead, hidden within the storm of cosmic dust and fractured light, something waited. And it had known from the very beginning that he would come. The nebula didn't welcome him. It reacted. The moment the Orion's wake crossed the outer threshold, space itself seemed to twist. Colors bled into each other, violet into crimson, blue into something Elias didn't have a name for. Lightning arced between clouds that weren't clouds, stretching across impossible distances like veins in a living thing. Structural integrity at 91%, the AI reported. Elias tightened his grip on the controls. That's dropping too fast. Environmental conditions exceed standard navigational tolerances. No kidding. Another violent jolt rocked the ship. The hull groaned, a deep metallic strain that vibrated through Elias's bones. He adjusted the thrusters manually. Come on, hold together. The viewport flickered as waves of electromagnetic interference slammed into the ship. For a split second, Elias swore he saw something move in the storm. Something massive, just beyond perception. Then it was gone. Tell me that was just interference, he muttered. No confirmation available. Great. The signal crackled again through the speakers, faint but steady. This way. Elias glanced at the display. The coordinates were still locked in, updating in real time, guiding him through the chaos. Like something was leading him, or pulling him in. He didn't like either option. The storm intensified. Gravity fluctuated violently. His body lifted slightly from the seat before slamming back down as the ship fought to compensate. Artificial gravity failing to stabilize, the AI warned. Just keep it from turning off completely. Another flash of lightning tore across the void. Close this time. Too close. The ship lurched sideways, alarm screaming. Shields collapsing. I know. Elias slammed a sequence into the console, rerouting power from non-essential systems. Lights dimmed instantly, the cockpit falling into a half-shadow lit only by the glow of the instruments. Hold together, he whispered again. Then, as suddenly as it began, the storm stopped. No gradual fade. No transition. One moment, chaos. The next, silence. Perfect, unnatural silence. Elias blinked. The viewport cleared. And there it was. A planet, floating at the heart of a nebula, like it didn't belong. Smooth, pale, almost luminous. No visible continents. No oceans. Just a seamless, glass-like surface reflecting the swirling storm trapped around it. What the hell? Elias breathed. Planetary mass detected. The AI confirmed. No records found in known databases. Of course not, because nothing about this place should exist. Elias ran a scan. Atmosphere. Stable. Breathable. Life signs. A pause. Then, undetermined. He frowned. Undetermined. Readings are inconsistent. That's not an answer. It is the only available one. Elias stared at the planet. It felt wrong. Not dangerous in an obvious way. No visible threats, no immediate hazards. But wrong in a way he couldn't explain, like it was too still, too perfect. You're close. The signal again. Clearer now. Stronger. Elias exhaled slowly. Well, he muttered. No turning back now. The descent was smooth. Too smooth. No turbulence. No resistance. The ship passed through the atmosphere like it wasn't even there. Surface approaching, the AI said. Elias adjusted the landing thrusters, guiding the Orion's wake toward a flat expanse that stretched endlessly in every direction. As the ship touched down, there was no dust, no wind, no sound, just stillness. Elias sat there for a moment, staring out at the alien landscape. Then he unstrapped himself. Stay on standby, he said. Standing, always. He grabbed a sidearm, more out of habit than confidence, and moved toward the airlock. As it opened, a softness broke the silence. Then, nothing. No wind rushed in. No temperature shift. Just quiet. Elias stepped outside. The ground beneath his boots was solid, but smooth like polished stone or glass. It reflected faint distortions of the sky above, the swirling nebula visible even from the surface. He looked around. No structures. No movement. No life. Undetermined, he muttered, echoing AI. Then, here, Elias turned sharply. Ahead of him, something shimmered. At first, he thought it was a trick of the light. Then the distortion stabilized, and he saw them. 5 figures, standing in a perfect circle. They hadn't been there a second ago. Elias's grip tightened on his weapon, though he didn't raise it. Okay, he said under his breath. That's new. The figures didn't move, didn't react. They simply stood there, waiting. Elias took a cautious step forward, then another. The closer he got, the clearer they became. Humanoid, all 5 of them, but not human, not entirely. The first one stood slightly ahead of the others. Her skin shimmered faintly, like starlight caught beneath the surface. Her eyes, if they could be called that, shifted with subtle colors, never settling on one. She looked at him, not past him, not through him, at him. You came. Her voice, clear, soft, familiar. Elias felt a chill run down his spine. You sent the signal, he said. She nodded once. Behind her, the others stepped forward, each one different. One with hair that flowed like liquid metal, moving even in the absence of wind. One whose eyes burned softly like contained suns. One surrounded by faint, shifting geometric shapes, patterns that appeared and vanished like thoughts made visible. One whose body flickered at the edges, as if she wasn't fully anchored to reality. And the last looked the most human. Not perfectly, but close enough that, at a glance, she could almost pass. She stepped closer than the others, closer than Elias was comfortable with. But he didn't move. You heard us, she said quietly. Elias nodded slowly. Yeah. A pause. Then she took one more step forward. Please. The word was softer than before, but heavier, more real. Take us with you. Elias stared at her, then at the others. 5 unknown beings, on a planet that shouldn't exist, sending a signal that shouldn't be possible. Everything about this screamed danger, trap, mistake. But they didn't attack, didn't threaten, didn't move beyond that small, careful approach. They just watched him, waited, like everything depended on what he said next. Elias exhaled slowly. Start talking, he said, because right now, this doesn't make any sense. The first girl tilted her head slightly. It will. Behind them, the ground gave the faintest tremor. So subtle Elias almost didn't notice. Almost. Something about that made his chest tighten. But the girls didn't react. Or maybe they were used to it. Elias glanced briefly back at his ship, then returned his attention to them. All right, he said. I'm listening. And somewhere deep beneath the surface of that silent, perfect world, something shifted. Elias didn't lower his guard. Not for a second. 5 of them. Unknown origin, unknown capabilities, unknown intentions. And yet, none of them moved like predators. They stood in a loose semicircle now, no longer perfectly still, but not advancing either. It felt deliberate, like they understood distance, like they were trying not to scare him. That didn't make it better. It made it stranger. Let's start simple, Elias said, his voice steady but firm. Who are you? The metallic-haired girl glanced briefly at the others, as if waiting for permission. The one with shifting starlight skin spoke first. We are what remains. Elias frowned. That's not an answer. That's a riddle. It is both, said the one with glowing eyes. He exhaled slowly. All right, let me rephrase. What are you? A pause. Not hesitation. Calculation. The girl, surrounded by geometric patterns, lifted her hand slightly. The air in front of Elias bent. Shapes unfolded. Lines of light forming complex structures, rotating in impossible dimensions. The patterns moved too fast to fully comprehend, but fragments made sense. Cities, massive, radiant, alive with energy. Beings, countless beings, moving through structures that didn't obey physics the way Elias understood it. This was us, she said. Elias stared. A civilization, he murmured. Yes. What happened to it? The images changed. The light dimmed. Something dark crept in, not like shadow, not like matter, like absence. Where it touched, things didn't break. They vanished. No explosion, no debris, just gone. Elias felt his throat tighten. That's not destruction, he said quietly. No, said the translucent girl. Her voice flickered slightly, like her form. It is removal. By what? All 5 of them spoke at once. We do not know. The sound of their voices, overlapping, wasn't chaotic. It was precise, like they were meant to speak together. Elias rubbed the back of his neck. You don't know what wiped out your entire species. We know what it does, said the glowing-eyed one, which is, it ends existence. Elias let out a humorless breath. That's comforting. The almost human girl stepped a little closer again. It is not a force you can fight, she said gently. Not in the way you understand. Then how are you still here? That question hung in the air. This time, it was a starlight-skinned girl who answered. Because we are not entirely here. Elias narrowed his eyes. Explain. The geometric patterns shifted again, simpler this time. A sphere appeared, representing the planet. Around it, faint layers, like overlapping realities. We were preserved, she said. Converted. Stored. Stored where? She gestured around them. Here. Elias looked down at the smooth surface beneath his boots. This whole planet is, what? A vault. Yes. Containing you? Yes. He let out a low whistle. That's a lot to process. The metallic-haired girl spoke next. We are fragments, consciousness patterns, reconstructed into forms you can perceive. Elias blinked. So you're not actually physical? The translucent girl flickered more noticeably. Not entirely. That explained a lot, and raised even more questions. Elias crossed his arms. Okay, let's say I believe all that. Why contact me? You were the only one who would answer, said the glowing-eyed girl. That's not good enough. It is accurate. Elias shook his head. There are thousands of ships out there. Not here, she replied. And the ones that would not come. Why not? The almost human girl met his gaze again. Because they are not like you. Elias gave a small, dry laugh. You don't know anything about me. We know enough. That sent a chill through him. How? He asked. A brief silence. Then, we listened. Elias stiffened. To what? Your transmissions. Your logs. Your voice. His stomach dropped slightly. You've been watching me? Observing. The starlight-skinned girl corrected gently. That's not better. We needed to understand you, said the geometric pattern one, to determine if you were compatible. Compatible with what? The answer came from all 5 again. Survival. Elias ran a hand through his hair. You're telling me you studied me because you needed a ride? It is more complex than that. Then make it simple. The almost human girl stepped closer still. Now she was within arm's reach. Elias didn't move, but every instinct told him he should. If we leave this place, she said softly, we continue to exist. And if you don't, a tremor ran through the ground. Stronger this time. Cracks, fine, hairline fractures began to spread across the smooth surface beneath them. Light seeped through from below. Wrong light. Too bright. Too empty. The translucent girl's form flickered violently for a second before stabilizing. We end, she whispered. Elias stared at the cracks. Then at them. This place is failing. Yes, said the metallic-haired girl. Why? We do not know, said the glowing-eyed one. But we can feel it, added another. It is breaking down, said the first. And when it does, the almost human girl finished. So do we. Another tremor. This time, Elias felt it in his chest, like something deep below was waking up, or pushing upward. He looked up instinctively. The sky, the swirling nebula visible even from the surface, pulsed faintly. For a split second, something moved within it. Vast, impossible, gone before he could focus. You see it too, the translucent girl said. Elias swallowed. Yeah, that is why we must leave. He looked back at them. 5 beings. Not quite alive. Not quite real. And something out there, something that erased entire civilizations, was getting closer. Elias exhaled slowly. This is insane. Yes, said the glowing-eyed girl. Dangerous. Yes. Possibly the worst decision I could make. All 5 of them tilted their heads, slightly. Yes, they said together. Elias let out a quiet, almost incredulous laugh. Great. Another tremor. Louder. Closer. Time was running out. He looked at them one more time. Last question, he said. They waited. Why ask me to save you? The almost human girl's expression softened. Not artificial. Not calculated. Something real. Because, she said quietly, you still know how? That answer hit harder than anything else they'd said. Elias didn't respond immediately, because he didn't know if it was true, or if he just wanted it to be. Behind them, the cracks spread wider, and beneath the surface, something began to rise. The ground was breaking, not slowly, not gently. Cracks split across the glass-like surface in jagged lines, spreading outward from beneath the 5 girls like fractures in something never meant to fail. Light bled through from below, blinding, colorless, wrong. Elias took a step back instinctively. Okay, he said, voice tightening. That's getting worse. Yes, the starlight-skinned girl replied calmly. Too calmly. Another tremor hit. Strong enough this time to throw Elias slightly off balance. He caught himself, boots scraping against the smooth surface. How much time do we have? He asked. The translucent girl flickered again, her outline breaking apart at the edges. Unknown. That's not helpful. It is honest. Elias exhaled sharply, forcing his thoughts into order. Think. Ship capacity. Minimal. Life support. Strained. Unknown passengers. 5. Unknown biology. Everything. Unknown threat. Worse than everything. He looked at them again. They hadn't moved. Even as the world beneath them fractured, even as the sky above pulsed with something vast and watching, they stayed where they were, waiting for him. Why aren't you running? He snapped. The metallic-haired girl tilted her head slightly. Running where? Elias opened his mouth, then stopped. There was nowhere to go. The entire planet was a prison, and the prison was collapsing. Right, he muttered. Another crack split the ground between them, widening with a sharp, echoing sound. A pulse of that unnatural light surged upward, distorting the air. Elias flinched. All right, he said quickly. Decision time. He turned, looking back toward the Orion's wake. The ship sat exactly where he'd left it, small, worn, and suddenly feeling very inadequate. 5 passengers. No preparation. No answers. and possibly something following them. This was beyond reckless. This was suicide. He knew it. Every rational part of his mind screamed at him to get back on the ship and leave, just leave, punch the engines, get out of the nebula, forget the signal ever happened, survive. That's what mattered. That's what always mattered. Elias clenched his jaw. You don't have to, the almost human girl said quietly behind him. He froze. You can go, she continued. You have already done more than expected. Elias turned back slowly. Her expression wasn't pleading this time. Not desperate, just accepting. Like she already knew what he might choose. And wouldn't blame him for it. That made it worse. Don't do that, he said. Do what? Make it easy to leave. A faint pause. Then, I am not trying to, she said. Another tremor. Stronger. The cracks widened further. Chunks of the surface beginning to shift and tilt. One section nearby collapsed entirely, revealing a depth that wasn't just physical. It was absence. Elias stared into it for half a second, then looked away quickly. Yeah, he muttered. Definitely not staying. He ran a hand over his face, then dropped it with a sharp exhale. Fine. The word came out rough. Final. All 5 of them stilled. You come with me, Elias said, stepping forward again. All of you, but we do this my way. Their attention sharpened instantly. My ship, my rules, he continued. You listen when I say something. You don't mess with anything you don't understand. And if this turns out to be some kind of, he gestured vaguely, cosmic mistake, I reserve the right to panic. A faint flicker passed through them. Something like confusion. Then, agreed, said the glowing-eyed girl. Yes, added the metallic-haired one. We accept, said another. The translucent girl gave a slight, unstable nod. Finally, the almost human girl stepped forward one last time. Thank you, she said softly. Elias shook his head. Don't thank me yet. He turned sharply toward the ship. Move. Now. This time, they didn't hesitate. They followed. The ground shifted violently as they ran. If it could be called running, the girls moved smoothly, almost gliding over the unstable surface, their movements unnaturally precise even as the terrain collapsed around them. Elias wasn't so graceful. Yeah, this is great, he muttered, jumping over a widening crack. Behind them, a deep, low sound began to rise. Not from the sky. From below. Elias felt it more than heard it. A vibration that crawled up through his boots and into his chest. Please tell me that's just the planet falling apart, he said. It is not, the translucent girl replied. Of course it's not. They reached the ship just as another section of ground gave way behind them. Inside, Elias barked, slamming his hand against the access panel. The airlock hissed open. One by one, the girls stepped in, each passing through the threshold with a brief flicker, like reality had to adjust to let them through. Elias followed last, hitting the seal command the second. He crossed inside. Lock it down. Airlock sealed. The AI confirmed. Good. Great. Fantastic. Let's leave. He rushed into the cockpit, dropping into the pilot's seat and bringing the systems online at full power. Engines to max. I don't care they complain. Engines already complaining. Then they can complain faster. The ship lifted. Thrusters firing hard as the surface below continued to fracture. Through the viewport, Elias caught one last glimpse of the planet. The cracks had spread everywhere now. The smooth surface was gone, replaced by a collapsing lattice of light and void. And beneath it, something vast shifted, not fully visible, not fully real, but there, watching, waiting. Go! One of the girls whispered. I'm going. Elias snapped. The Orion's wake surged upward, breaking through the thinning atmosphere. The nebula loomed ahead, still violent, still dangerous. But now, something inside it moved. Elias saw it clearly this time. A distortion, massive, stretching across impossible distances. Not a shape, not a creature, but something that bent space around it like it didn't belong. His breath caught. That's new, he said hoarsely. Yes, said the glowing-eyed girl quietly. It has noticed us. Elias tightened his grip on the controls. Yeah, he said, I was afraid of that. The engines roared. The ship plunged back into the storm. Behind them, the planet collapsed completely, and whatever had been beneath it was no longer contained. Elias didn't look back. He couldn't, because for the first time since he'd heard the signal, he wasn't just running from something. He was carrying it with him. And somewhere in the shifting chaos of the nebula, something followed.